was in New Zealand for about 2 weeks and it was quite an experience. Why New Zealand? And is there sheep everywhere? If you're new here, I'm Jeffrey, physical therapist for 7 years, and welcome to Life of a Taiwanese PT living in Houston. If you've never heard of New Zealand, it's basically two islands. There's a North Island and a South Island, and it's to the right of Australia. So wherever Australia is on the map, you just go right and a little bit lower. In short, my sister and I were getting married, and instead of doing a whole wedding, they decided to sponsor a trip for the immediate family to New Zealand. I know, it's crazy. We are very grateful, very fortunate to be able to experience something like this. So they both love to travel the world, and New Zealand was a place that they haven't been, no one has ever been, so that's kind of why they picked it. We went to both Auckland in the North Island and Queenstown in the South Island. But this video will focus on the recap of Auckland. The flight to get to New Zealand took about 15 hours, and that's from Dallas. So being from Houston, we drove up 5 hours to meet my sister and I. Right before we got on the flight that morning, we drove up, and my wife also helped my sister do her nails for the wedding. So in New Zealand, the cars are on the opposite side of the road, and in the cars, the driver's seat is also on the opposite side. So everything is backwards. So it could take a little bit to get used to, and we were lucky to have Hai be the main driver throughout the whole time. My first impression of Auckland was that it was a pretty cool town. After getting lunch, we just walked around and we saw this huge park, and there were a bunch of trees, and there was huge slides and even a little bit of rope swing. I'll have a funny story about slides in the next video. Toward dinner time, we walked around the pier, and there were lots of boats. You can kind of see the ocean. I think that was the ocean. We ate at a seafood restaurant the first night, and everything was super fresh. So I had the best fish and chips I've ever had in my life there. In Auckland, we stayed downtown in a hotel, so it was very central to everything. We could basically walk everywhere. The weather overall was on the warmer side, so it was like 60s, 70s with the sun out, and toward the morning, it could get a little bit chilly. The following day, we went on a day tour to see the Shire, where they filmed The Hobbit and some of the Lord of the Rings movies. So if you're a fan, then it was pretty cool. I haven't seen The Hobbit, but I have seen Lord of the Rings in the past, and seeing all the miniature furniture, and there were like clothes hanging, and that was basically the movie set where they filmed it. It was pretty hot, but the scenery of the whole place was pretty cool. So at the end of the tour, you could get a free drink, and there were some food options as well. It was like beef or lamb pot pie, and surprisingly, the food and drinks, amazing. So I did see a bunch of sheep driving by different places, and I wouldn't say there's sheep everywhere, but there are a lot of sheep. But I think they said it used to be in New Zealand, the population was 1 person, and there's like 20 sheep for every person. But now it's like 5 sheep to every person. The lamb in New Zealand, I know this sounds just talking about sheep and now I'm talking about food, but the lamb in New Zealand was amazing. So there's no gamey smell or taste, and it was delicious. It was very, very good. After the Hobbit tour, we went to another place where we could see some of the culture, and there was like this art school for the indigenous people. They were like carving different things, different projects, like in class, and we could watch them. And there was also weaving. Around that area, I think we also walked around to see some geysers. You could feel like the warm air, and the ground was a little bit warm as well. Now the next day, we went on a little hike to Mount Eden, which is a dormant volcano. So that was pretty cool. It's just basically a big crater, and it's all green. So dormant meaning it has not erupted like during mankind. Low-key kind of wanted to just slide down the whole thing, but obviously you can't. And up around where the Mount Eden was, you could overlook the city. Pretty cool views all around. We also dropped by some pretty good place for matcha, got some drinks, and then we went to Black Sand Beach and saw some cool scenery there, and went to see a waterfall, and just a bunch of hikes that day. But overall the weather was nice, so We had a good time, lots of walking. At the end of the day, we went to get some Myanmar food, and first time having it, it's pretty good. They got some lamb as well. The next day, we did more hiking, see some more views, but you don't really get sick of it. Everywhere you go, there's either mountains or some body of water. I had some clam pasta for lunch, delicious. And then afterwards, we went to Shakespeare Regional Park, where we took this group photo. We're trying to see some animals in the wild, but couldn't really see any. I think it was just too hot, and some of the grass were dead as well, so it was more yellow than green. That area, we actually walked around. We had to like avoid a bunch of poop. I don't know from what animal, maybe the sheep, but we didn't see too many sheep there. Later that night, we tried this, I don't know how many course, but multi-course New Zealand food. Natural, local ingredients from New Zealand. It was very fresh. One of my favorites was goat meat over some pico. There's some tomato on this crunchy chip. It was amazing. Like the texture, the freshness, and it just tasted like beef, but it was goat. And also that night, I also tried some deer, and it also tastes like beef because it was so good. So even though it looked pretty raw, but the way they prepared it just went straight down my stomach. And we did stay at a hotel for most of our stay in Auckland. The hotel gym was actually pretty nice, so I had to hit a workout. I think I hit a push workout, so chest, shoulder, triceps. Overall, I really enjoyed Auckland, my stay in Auckland, and the people were very nice. The food was great. Stay tuned for my recap of Queenstown next video. If you guys have made it this far in the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. If you missed last week's vlog, be sure to click here where I talk about getting Employee of the Month. Thank you guys for watching, and as always, be sure to move and improve.